Hi guys, welcome back to Disrupt Your Norm. My name is Naomi Dunn, and today I'm doing another episode in regards to healing. I believe the last one I did was tips I would give myself at the beginning of my journey when it comes to emotional healing and things that I wish I knew to make the process easier and smoother. So if you haven't seen that already, that would be really helpful if you are on this journey as well. But today I'm going to speak on one of the perspective shifts I gave you in the last video or podcast, which was healing does not have to take as long as you think. And I say this never to invalidate whatsoever what someone's gone through, the traumas they've been through, because traumas are traumas and they're painful and they're one of the reasons why life can be so hard. But I say it to bring hope and encouragement. And sometimes we're at a place where we almost don't want the hope yet because we want to validate our pain for a little bit longer, and that's understandable and that's normal. But when you get to a place where you're just ready and you're ready to move forward and you know it's time, because sometimes the body will tell you it's not time yet. But when you know it's time and you're desiring that change and you're sick of it affecting your life, your relationships, the way that you react to things, then it can be really encouraging to know that it doesn't have to take as long as you think. I was just watching a documentary, and a man in the documentary said, if a trauma can happen in 30 seconds, then why can't it heal in 30 minutes, an hour, or a day? And I agree with that. I really do. And I used to not. And the reason I used to not is because I went to therapy for specific traumas and it just wasn't healing. It wasn't making my life any better. Yes, I was dissociating really bad at that time. So it was very hard to process in general. But it just, nothing was shifting for me until I learned about ways to actually remove traumas from the body, which is using specific tools to help heal the traumas, to help release them. So let's talk a little bit about that. Think of removing trapped emotions or traumas. Let me first begin with explaining trapped emotions because I say that word, I say those two words kind of forgetting that not everyone knows what that means. A trapped emotion is essentially when you experience something where you would have naturally felt a heightened emotion because of the experience. If you experience that and either don't allow yourself to fully feel it or feel it at all, if you go through that and you're in the fight or flight or whatever you want to call it, whatever stage you're in, or you just want to shut down and completely dissociate because it's too painful to go through, you're going to have a trapped emotion. And I don't say that to overwhelm you. It's very normal. We all have trapped emotions. Every single human has trapped emotions. And another reason why we have them is because we also inherit them from our parents. And so sometimes we experience pains from traumas that we didn't even go through. So when that happens, there's an emotion that's in a healthy situation. It's supposed to come up. It's okay to feel anger. It's okay to feel sadness. It's okay to feel anxiety at times. It's naturally supposed to come up. You feel it and then it's gone. Right? You don't cry in a crying session forever. You cry and then you start to feel better at the end. You've released the emotion. So trapped emotion is when that does not get fully released. And the problem is that it doesn't go away. It's trapped. And it can be trapped in different parts of your body depending on what it is. And emotions can actually travel to different areas as well. So it could be anywhere in the body. And so that's why I always question when I have physical pains, when I have aches, when I have certain things that I know are very abnormal for my body. I ask myself, have I experienced something this time a couple of years ago or last year? Is it anniversary trauma? Am I going through something emotional? Is there something deep down that I'm not releasing? And a lot of the times the answer is yes. A lot of the times it's emotional. So it can be really good to question those pains and aches and problems you're experiencing in your body. All right, so like I said, if you are experiencing or have a trapped emotion or a trauma that hasn't been released, then it's kind of helpful if you can almost think of it like a surgery or removing a bad tooth, let's say, from your mouth, right? It's in the body. I like to think of it as physical, right? A physical thing in the body, and it needs to be removed. It's not, this bad tooth is not helping you. You're having surgery because something is an inconvenience, a pain, a problem in your life. You're getting rid of it. So We can look at the problem all day, but is that removing the bad tooth? Is that removing the issue that needs to be surgically removed by looking at it? Not always, no. We can't just look at it. We can't just look at the physical pain, the physical problem in the body. We actually need to remove it from the body. Does surgery take years and years? No. Does removing a bad tooth take years and years? No. Why do some people think it has to take years and years? Because their mindset is that you have to only look at the problem and that's the only solution to removing it. But that's not always the case, especially for traumas and trapped emotions. They need to be removed. So when you know how to remove them, that's when it doesn't have to be as long as you think. That's when it's like the bad tooth being removed from your mouth or the surgery. It's not as long as other people or you may even expect. How do we do this? You find a tool that helps you, or you just go old fashioned. Hey, if you don't dissociate, if you don't struggle with feeling emotions, if you're chill with your emotions, if you have a perspective of, I'm okay with feeling my emotions, then you are far ahead than many people. Trust me when I tell you, because it can really be hard when you dissociate, but it's not impossible. So if you are good with your emotions, I want you to sit with them and be okay with sitting with them and allowing yourself to feel what comes up. You may say, I don't know what it is. And that's when it's time to ask some questions. When is this pain coming up in your body? When is this trauma? When are you reliving it? And ask questions about it. What kind of person am I around when it comes up? Where am I when it happens? And just keep asking questions. And when the body is ready, the body will tell you. You will get memories, you will get thoughts, you will get nudges that indicate what the trauma may be. And sometimes we don't, and sometimes we don't need to know. That's the beautiful thing as well. Sometimes we don't need to know exactly what the trauma was. We just need to know, what are we feeling in this moment? Why is this emotion coming up? We sit with it. Guess what? When you're sitting with it, when you're feeling it, you are dissolving it. You are pulling out that tooth. You are creating the surgery to remove it by sitting and feeling it. So that is a tool, just sitting and feeling. No, you don't have to spend thousands to do that. No, it doesn't have to take years. But it seems so simple, but how many people actually sit with their emotions? Seriously, how many people are okay with it? How many people intentionally decide to sit with pains rather than go on TikTok, rather than go out and have sex, rather than go spend time with their friends, rather than go and travel? How many people actually do that? And when people do things in excess, when people do all these pleasurable things in excess, it's because they're avoiding something, because there's deep down some pain going on. All right, so that's when you're feeling and you're okay with feeling and you're good with feeling. And then there's dissociation, and that may require some other tools and it may require some help. It may require a coach, it may require a therapist who specializes in using tools to help remove traumas and emotions from the body with people who dissociate. So, like I told you guys before, my favorite tool is EFT. Then there's TFT, which is another form. These are all tapping modalities. It's when you're tapping on the meridian points of your body. Other ones are EMDR. I like EMDR. It can be a little hard when you dissociate though. And then the biggest thing of all of it is you're healing it because you're feeling it. So if you can just find for you what helps you to stop dissociate, whether that's having a better understanding of emotions and why it's so good to feel them, or just realizing what's triggering this dissociation, what's causing me to get into this state, and how can I switch it? If this is getting me in this state every single time, then how can I calm my nervous system so it doesn't have to get in that state? Because essentially dissociation is because your nervous system is wired up and it's trying to protect you from feeling pain. So if you can calm the nervous system and then allow yourself to try and feel those emotions, that's going to be a tool as well. I wanted to share something else about the surgery and the bad tooth analogy I just gave. When we go into surgery, when we have to remove a bad tooth, we often have a consultation first. Well, I hope we do. We speak with the doctor, we speak with somebody to figure out what's needed, what has to happen, and then we go into the surgery. You can't go into the surgery without the surgeon knowing what he has to do. He has to know, right? You have to know. So this consultation is like the period of time where we may have to spend looking at it from the outside in before removing the bad tooth, before removing the problem. Looking at it, understanding what emotion am I feeling? What's getting triggered? What's happening when I get triggered? Is there a possibility I can find out what caused this? Is it a possibility this came from my parents? Is it a possibility that this came from my childhood, that this came from neglect? Is it a possibility that this came from abuse? Is it a possibility that it came from bad relationship, etc.? Questioning, looking, asking. Guidance is helpful here. Guidance of someone who understands psychology is helpful here. Or you can understand psychology for yourself. That's never a bad thing either. You can start researching. If you love it, why not? You can start researching it and understanding yourself. The consultation isn't removing the problem, but the consultation is necessary. Now, there's certain emotions that will take longer to remove from the body than others, such as shame and anger. Shame can be really hard, especially if you have more complex trauma, because shame shows up in so many different symptoms oftentimes. All of our emotions can do that, but shame can show up in so many areas of our life that are unrecognizable, such as having shame fog, what I like to call brain fog that comes from shame. Shame fog, the inner critic, procrastination, things that are just kind of normalized. Like everyone procrastinates, everyone puts self down at times. Yes, they do, but to an extreme, that's when there's a problem. It's an indication that there's a shame problem. So shame can be a tough one. It's really an emotion we try to avoid at all costs. I would say shame is the number one emotion we try to avoid at all costs. And it's the number one emotion that creates us to do those dopamine seeking habits. So we like to avoid shame at all costs. Anger can be really hard as well, but anger is an amazing thing to remove from your body. When you remove anger, you're removing resentment, and resentment is the number one aging emotion that could be trapped in your body. And it causes you to just blow up. It causes you to just do things that are so irrational and so childlike and so oftentimes not who you are to the core whatsoever, because you have it built up. So anger can be tough to resolve too, but there's other ways to remove anger. If you have anger and you feel it in your throat, go on a drive and scream as loud as you can. Scream, scream, scream. If you're angry at a person, you can write it down. You can write down what you're upset about, and you can burn the paper. And the thing is I'm all about forgiveness. You can choose forgiveness. You can choose forgiveness. But choosing to get rid of the anger that's trapped in the body because the problem has to be made. You have to intentionally do that, because you can forgive and have all this trapped anger still inside of you. So forgive the person, remove the anger, and then it's just going to feel even easier to feel that lightness around the person, to feel that happiness around the person, to feel great around the person. Because all of that pain that's still inside of your body, regardless if you forgive or not, it's lighter, it's removed. Your body has felt released from that release of the anger. So some emotions will be much harder for some people to remove than others and may take a little bit longer. You guys, I'm filming at a different time, at a different place, and something happened with the end of this video. So sorry they're a little all over the place, but as I was saying, to end it all, some emotions will take longer, some traumas will take longer in the body to heal than others, but does not mean that it is impossible to heal them. People have healed things that a lot of people claim to be not able to come out of the body, not able to heal, such as ex-veterans who heal their PTSD, and people who went through severe assaults who thought they would never be able to live another day in their life without the flashbacks. They can be healed, but sometimes we need a little more persistence with the bigger traumas, the bigger emotions, or the emotions and things that have stayed in the body for an extra long time, or maybe they're inherited in the family, or there's something you see your parents doing. I want to share one other point real quick about healing. It's not really relevant to the topic of the space of time it takes to heal, but it's very relevant to the topic of healing. Sometimes we see our parents with a problem and we assume that we're going to have the same problem. We're going to have the same negative self-talk. We're going to have the same trauma to deal with because they never dealt with it themselves. We sometimes have this idea that this pain was put onto us, But so when we have that perspective, we think it cannot come off of us, but that's not reality. The reality is it's a choice to heal it, and regardless if it's a gene, there's such thing as epigenetics. You can learn about how the genes can be turned on or off based on your mind and the way you're thinking. You don't have to live with the same things your parents did just because it's in the genes and it's in the family. It can be healed, it can be removed, and it can be reversed. It's a choice that you have to make to persist in that healing. And it doesn't have to be as hard as you think. I always say this, but it does not have to be as hard as you think, because as I always say, it's just temporary pain to get to the other side. It's going through the storm to get to the other side. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I really hope that this helped you and it helped you have a better understanding, and I really hope it encouraged you to know that you can heal and it does not have to take as long as you think. Please continue to seek guidance if you need to, continue to pray if you pray to God, continue to seek the one who is higher than us and who created us and who is guiding us, because he will help immensely on your journey if you do so. So yeah, I will see you guys next time, and I thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.